My name is Jerry Ensminger. I served our nation faithfully for nearly a quarter of a century in the United States Marine Corps. I want to personally thank you, Madam Chairman, and Senator Burr, the ranking member, and senior senator from my state, home state of North Carolina, for providing me this opportunity to testify in support of S-277, the Caring for Camp Lejeune Veterans Act of 2011. I became deeply involved in researching the history of the water contamination at Camp Lejeune nearly 13 years ago, after I learned that my daughter, Janie, was exposed to the base's contaminated drinking water. My daughter, Janie, was the only one of my 4 daughters to have been conceived, carried, or born while living aboard Camp Lejeune. When Janie was 6 years old, our entire world was turned upside down after she was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, or ALL. Janie fought a valiant battle against her malignancy for nearly 2.5 years, but she ultimately lost that war. We watched Janie go through hell during her illness, and all who loved her, we went through hell with her. She succumbed to her disease on 24 September of 1985. She was only 9 years old. Unlike the tragic stories of combat troops who have died in the past decade overseas or come home with broken bodies and painful memories, the human tragedies caused by this massive contamination incident have been going on for many, many decades in private homes and private hospital rooms in every state and territory of our nation. Many of the sick have been virtually bankrupted by the expense of the medical care and therapies required to combat the catastrophic illnesses which are inherent to the exposures to the chemicals that have been found in the water at Camp Lejeune. 2 known carcinogens, benzene and vinyl chloride, TCE, which will soon be classified as a human carcinogen by our EPA, and PCE, a probable human carcinogen, were present in our tap water. Those of us who lived and worked at Camp Lejeune never gave a moment's thought that we and our families were being poisoned by the very water we drank and bathed in. I, along with many other Marines and their family members, have devoted years of our lives and money to comb through the historical record of the Navy and Marine Corps documents to find the truth about how this contamination was allowed to continue despite the reported warnings given to them by analytical laboratories. My 13-year journey has taken me and my allies down many paths, and it has led us to numerous revealing and very, very troubling discoveries related to this issue. I must say that some of the most troubling discoveries have been the Department of the Navy and United States Marine Corps' own documents, which clearly revealed that their leadership's knowledge that our tap water was contaminated for nearly 5 years before they took any action to locate the sources or to stop it from flowing. Another disturbing revelation has been the discovery of the Navy and Marine Corps regulations, some dating back as far as 1963, that required a protective standard of care for the base's drinking water systems. Had these regulations and orders been followed, most of this tragedy more than likely would have been averted. And then lastly, as a career Marine, the most audacious realization has been a lack of honesty and transparency demonstrated by the Department of the Navy and Marine Corps relating to this issue, a problem that continues to this very day and reaches the highest levels of leadership. The documents we have uncovered indicate that there have been many obfuscations, half-truths, and outright lies disseminated by these 2 organizations and their leaders through statements to the press, in correspondence to the affected community members, in brochures issued to Congress, and yes, even in congressional testimony. But I would be more than willing, the examples of these mischaracterizations are too numerous for me to list here today in this testimony, but I would be more than willing to provide examples today of, if the committee is interested, and I would gladly sit down with any senator or their staff members to point these things out. I would encourage everyone to visit our website and view the timeline of events linked to our homepage. Our timeline of events is interactive. The reader can click on the blue document numbers embedded in each entry to access the Department of the Navy and the United States Marine Corps' own documents. This was done to ensure the reader that we don't speculate and that our timeline is factual. Senator Burr's bill S-277 is a step in the right direction in rectifying this tragic situation. Some of you may not know this, but Camp Lejeune is the largest documented DoD environmental contamination incident on record. I know that some members of Congress and a couple of National Veterans Service Organizations groups have expressed a lack of support for S-277 when it was introduced as S-1518 in 2009. But much has come to light since then. In the past year and a half, significant discoveries of previously undisclosed documents show that the Navy estimated that the contamination on the base was far greater than imagined in 2009. One Navy document states that the total fuel losses from underground storage tanks on the base could have reached beyond 1 million gallons and caused massive amounts of benzene, a known human carcinogen, to have infiltrated the groundwater used by our base's drinking water systems. I would think that anyone here today who found out that the water they had been drinking contained gasoline would find that a little alarming. There are currently over 170,000 members of the Camp Lejeune community who have registered with the Marine Corps since 2008. They come from every state in the nation, and I have heard their stories over the years as I've crisscrossed the country looking for information and meeting veterans and their families who lived on the base. In the past 2 years alone, we have discovered over 70 men who lived at Camp Lejeune who now have male breast cancer, a rare disease which afflicts only about 2,000 men a year in the entire United States. This issue is the subject of an award-winning documentary titled Semper Fi, Always Faithful, which will be shown the evening of 23 June 2011 in the Capitol Visitor Center. I hope the senators on this committee will take a closer look at this issue and seriously consider the scope and severity of the contamination and the duty we owe to those veterans, their loved ones, and the thousands of civilian employees who were exposed at Camp Lejeune. I ask each of you to see the film or send a member of your staff to do so. This very real story is finally being told after years in the shadows, and the people whose lives are directly affected by it need help. S-277 is the first step toward doing the right thing. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions, and thank you for bearing with me in my overreach in time.
Thank you.